Hello loves, I'm back again today in my Sunrise on the Readathon bunny shirt to give you more recommendations that you can use for some bonus points. Next week's theme is marginalized authors, so you'll see my shelves are a little loose right now because I have pulled books off my shelves of books I loved by marginalized authors. I've tried to do a spread of different types of marginalization, and there's also going to be some that I don't own physically yet as well. So let's get started. The first book is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. The author of this is in a WLW relationship, and this is a fantastic book that really stuck with me after I finished reading it. It's about two women who are married to each other, wives, and one of them goes on a submarine journey and gets stuck at the bottom of the ocean for like 8 months. Comes back. She just is not the same as when she left in a way that is kind of body horror, so be prepared for that. But the wife who stayed on the surface, Miri, has to kind of come to terms with the fact that she had reconciled that her wife was dead, and now she's back, but not the same person that she was before. So this, I thought, was really impactful, a really good examination of grieving someone who is still around. So recommendation number 1. Number 2, we have The Romance Recipe by Ruby Barrett. This is a romance novel about a chef and a restaurant owner. The restaurant owner saw the chef on like a cooking competition show and slides into the DMs a little drunk, like, hey, do you want to come work at my restaurant? And the chef says yes. So months later, the restaurant's not doing too great, and they are fighting their growing affection for one another. The author of this one is, I believe, bisexual and also ADHD, so kind of intersectional identities there. This is probably one of my favorite romance novels of all time. I'm not usually a romance girly, but I ate this one up. I really love this author, so if you are a romance girly, but specifically queer romance, love this one. Then if you are an anthology short story person, we have Demons and Death Drops. This is an anthology published by Little Ghost Books in Toronto, so it is also supporting a small independent publisher and bookstore. This is an anthology of queer performance horror, so there is a variety of authors in here of a variety of identities. These are a variety of horror stories written by queer authors, and some of them are fantastic. There's one about a raccoon that steals someone's nudes, which is just so Toronto. I've never lived in Toronto, but if you know, you know, raccoons are a thing. So I would recommend this if you're looking to support some smaller publishers. If you live in the Toronto area, you can go visit Little Ghost Books in person and also support some queer art. Next, you know, I had to put it on one of these lists, Bunny by Mona Awad. I just finished the sequel. I have an advanced copy of it, thank you NetGalley, this morning. So I will probably be trying to reread this immediately because I need to recontextualize everything based on the sequel. But Bunny by Mona Awad. Mona Awad is part Egyptian, I remember correctly. This is about Samantha, who is in this like master's writing program with 4 other girls who she thinks are kind of culty, called the Bunnies. And it is just a wild ride from start to finish with what's going on with this master's writing program, what's going on with Samantha. Fucking wild. And the sequel's coming out in the fall, so if you're gonna read it, now's a really great time. Next, we have The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. This book is probably going to be in my top 5 of the year, I can already tell you that. This is a fairy tale style book where there are 2 sisters living in this small town where they sing to the trees to help them grow, and then one of them falls in love with a creature on the other side of fairy, like in the fae realm. This is based on a ballad, and it is so impeccably written. I highly recommend the audiobook because the author does do songs throughout it. There is a lot of singing. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Amal El Motar, when I heard her speak about this book a couple months ago, did mention that some of the songs are based on like Palestinian protest music, which I thought was a really cool addition. Amal El-Mohtar is of Lebanese descent, and she is also bisexual, so a little, again, intersectional identity, and a little shorty if you're looking to get a lot of short books in. Stunning. Next is one of my underrated faves. So maybe I should save this for underrated week. The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks. Patrick Weeks now goes more by Trick Weeks on social media, but my copies are probably about a decade old at this point. So, The Palace Job is about a ragtag group of adventurers who are rebelling against the tyrannical government in their fantasy land. So you have like a shape-shifting unicorn, a talking warhammer, and a death priestess, and various other characters who are pulling a heist. So it's a heist fantasy, and I absolutely love these books. Trick Weeks identifies as non-binary, so please more people read this series. I need more people to read it. The next book is Piñata by Leopoldo Gu. This is a Mexican author, and this book does very heavily rely on Mexican like folklore and culture. So this is about a Mexican-American woman who is an anthropologist, an archaeologist, one of those, and she goes down to Mexico to excavate this old Christian missionary place, abbey. When they're there, they break through a wall and let something out that attaches it to her daughter and follows them back to the States. This is a reckoning with colonialism and that history about, missionaries and the damage they do to culture, and this cover is stunning, so definitely pick this up. I really loved this. I started crying on a bus on Christmas Day reading it, so recommendation. Next book is Bury Your Gay by Chuck Tingle. According to Google, Chuck Tingle is bisexual and has autism. He is a mysterious author with his covered face, so I'm going to have to trust Google on this. Bury Your Gays is fantastic. It was one of my best books last year. It is about a movie director / producer who wants to make his most popular characters in his television show in a gay relationship. And the studio's like, we'll let you do it, but you're gonna have to kill one of them off immediately after. And he refuses. And then the horror monsters from his various oeuvre of work start showing up in real life and killing people. Loved this. Fantastic, play on the Bury Your Gays trope, and also contending with AI and art, slightly spoiler kind of, but I really loved those themes. It hit me at a place that I am at in terms of my media consumption, so I loved this book. I think it was my second or third best of last year, so definitely recommend this one. Next is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. R.F. Kuang being an Asian American author, and this book being very much about racism in the publishing industry is a fantastic pick for this week. So this is about our main character, June, who is an aspiring author but can't really seem to get her big break. She is friends, with Athena, who is an Asian American author who seems to get all of the opportunities. So June kind of convinces herself that the reason she's not getting published is because she's a white woman. And then Athena kicks the bucket, and June steals her manuscript and publishes it as her own work. This, as a warning, you are in the head of June, who is incredibly unlikable. I read this for a book club, and multiple people were like, I want to throw this book across the room because I was just so annoyed with her, and fair, but that's kind of the point. And I think this is a fantastic read, especially if you are interested in the inner workings of the publishing industry. R.F. Kuang's Yellowface, fantastic. Now for the books I don't have physical copies of, but probably should because they're fantastic. Number 1, Against Techno-Ableism by Ashley Hsu, Dr. Ashley Hsu specifically. This is a nonfiction book about the way technology and disability intersect and the way both corporate greed and just non-consideration for the disabled is infecting our growing reliance on technology. The author of this one is herself an amputee, so that's the perspective that she comes to the book with, which does help a lot when she is talking about like access issues. And then there is some discussion of mental conditions, and the author makes specific to mention that she consulted with people that had those disabilities when making those points. And this one is again a little shorty. So if you're going for really short books, this is a fantastic book. It really made me consider a lot about the way I approach things on the internet in terms of accessibility, and I think it is a very important book for people to read and consider, so I wanted to recommend that. Next we have Ling Hun by A. Zhang. This is a little horror novella about a town where the owners of houses on a particular street have their dead relatives come to life, and like their ghosts show up, and the extreme lengths that people will go to purchase one of these houses when they become available. This was so good, and by an Asian Canadian author, so very highly recommend that one. Again, short books, but we love a short horror. Next is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. This is about a Chinatown community, and there is someone who is found dead, so the police, black and white, come in to investigate, and this is a very metaphorical book about the film industry and what that experience is like for Asian actors, and I highly recommend the physical copy for it because I felt like I missed things when I was listening to the audiobook, and there is a lot of like formatting things that were quite unique for it. I absolutely loved the formatting of this one, the way that it was like script reads. So good on a reread, especially once you kind of conceptualize things. So Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. Then we have another Mexican-American author, which is Gerardo Samano Cordova, and his book Monstrillo, which I loved. So good. This is about a mother whose young son has passed away, and she hears this like folklore story about keeping part of their organs and feeding it, and she ends up growing a little monster. It is a reckoning on grieving, growing up, and also none of the characters are straight. Pretty sure every single one of them at the end had some kind of queer relationship. So I love this book. So good, so impactful, highly recommend it. Next, we have a new recent one, which is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang, or just Bat Eater, depending on where you are, by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the best book set during COVID that I have ever read. And I have kind of been avoiding that because I don't like thinking about those times, but I think this one really captured the fear and paranoia of those times really well. This is about an Asian American woman who becomes a crime scene cleaner after a very tragic death in her family, and that part had my jaw dropped. And it stayed dropped until the very end because there is a serial killer targeting Asian American women and also maybe ghosts. There was a lot going on in this book, but it was fantastic. Absolutely stunning. Really deals with the racism that was happening against Asian people at the time of COVID, and was handled so well while also being a really interesting horror book. So absolutely recommend reading Bat Eater. And then the last book is Moon of the Crusted Snow by Wabashig Rice. This is by an Indigenous Canadian author, and this book is about a small Northern Ontario community where one day the phone lines go out, and they're like, that happens because we're in the remote area of the country and no one really cares about us up here. And then also the power goes out, and it turns out that there's an apocalypse going on because everything's down everywhere, and it is this small community trying to self-sustain and keep themselves safe during what is kind of the beginning days of an apocalypse. So absolutely phenomenal. The second one, also really good. And the first one's really fairly short. So you can Found this one out. So good. So good. Those are my recommendations for books by marginalized authors. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any recommendations on books that I should be reading for my bonus points. If you enjoyed, like and consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.